Are you ready to walk down a path of enchantment? Dilly-dallying in Dolly World takes you to a reality with beings ranging from angels to listeners, all sharing thoughts on divergent subjects, from desserts to messages from beyond. Dilly-dallying in Dolly World with Dolly Howard begins now. Produced by Haggy Shack Radio's Colleen Kelly and broadcasting over the Wolf Spirit Radio Network.
Thanks, Colleen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is July 16th, 2016, and it's another Saturday. I'm Dolly. Colleen, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
I tried to word that right.
I try to follow directions.
We're so happy to have you all with us. I want to get all the ads and all the stuff done right away so we can get right into this, because we have a really exciting guest. Thanks to Colleen and Dottie, because we were chit-chatting yesterday, and they said, well, what about this one? And I said, oh, all right, I'll try to contact him. And he answered me, and he's here. So we're going to have a fun 2 hours. First, you're listening to listener-supported radio stations, WHSR, which is Haggy Shack Radio, and Colleen simulcast WSR. Am I saying that right, Colleen?
Okay. HSR, simulcast to WSR, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both run on donations. The guests don't get money, the hosts don't get money, the producers don't get money. It just goes to the running of the stations. So on HSR and WSR, are we here?
We're here.
Oh, I thought I heard that thing that said, boo, you're gone. So, please, if you can, donate. If you cannot donate, don't worry about it or fret about it. Be sure to be with us and share with us, because we like having everybody talking with us. We also have archives, which are free for the first week after the live show airs. And then after that, Colleen moves them over to the subscription archives, where you pay $5 a month. And it is not automatically renewed. If you want to renew it, you get a little reminder email that tells you you're about to expire. Well, you're not about to expire, but the subscription's about to expire. And if you want to renew it, please do. And also, let's see, okay. So if you have questions or comments, please put them in all caps so that they get our attention and we know you're talking with us and our guests and you're not just talking among yourselves. Any questions and comments we love to get from y'all. So please don't be shy. Make your comments, ask your questions. Now let me pull up my little, I have 2 things I want to read to y'all about our guest. And I had this planned in my head. Okay, yes. This is the one I want to start with. Now what I'm going to read to you is, it was written in 2012, but it'll give you an idea of who we're talking to. He is American Kabuki, who is AKA Taran. I'll be calling him Taran, but I wanted you to know both names. I'm reading this from a different site, so I'm going to try to edit it as I go, but I want you to know it's coming from the site Golden Age of Gaia, when he was on there. It says, most of us only know American Kabuki from his blog spot. And we can put his blog spot in the chat later. The now influential blog was only launched in February of 2012. So it's not he's been there a while. And takes its name from his chosen online pseudonym. It's a name he has used simply to protect the privacy of his family. The man himself is an open book. And yes, you'll hear his real voice. I guess he wasn't talking before then. As we find out a whole lot more about him, including why he chose that particular moniker when he chats with that man about his life and his death. Seriously. So we have another indie eater, you guys, and we'll talk about that. In a far-ranging interview, we find out that American Kabuki is not surprisingly American, and he grew up in a family of 6 kids. His father would talk about the UFOs he's seen flying during the war. His mother's cousin broke the land speed record, and that at the age of 9, when camping in the desert with his father as part of a group of 30 kids and parents. He experienced his first cowboy angel. Here we are, angels again. An angel who may have saved the whole group from dehydrating and possibly dying in the heat. See, guys, our angels take care of us. He also suffered terrible asthma and a dog mauling as a young boy, only to be healed instantly, twice, by a minister of the church. And it is that same church which had such major impact on his life, and for way longer. From the age of 5, American Kabuki was an integral part of the worldwide Church of God, led by former advertising guru Herbert W. Armstrong, which his father had joined. The church soon had control over many of the family's regular activities, from the food they ate to what they drank and where a percentage of their weekly income went. Sometime after beginning his working life as a carpenter, American Kabuki finally landed by accident in the world of IT. He loved it, and it brought him into a whole new world. IT widened his eyes on many fronts, as he soon had dealings with and access to people and confidential corporate and banking information from way outside his church group and from all around the world. His work also led to him living overseas for several years in the UK and France, and took him to countries as far away as Australia regularly. The Worldwide Church of God and its doctrines, meanwhile, retained Americans Kabuki's devotion for 35 years. Yet it was his IT knowledge and worldly experiences, combined with what he was seeing and hearing within his church, that led him to uncover a mass of untruths about the church during the 1990s, including the fact that his church had an annual income of over, hold on to your seats, $300 million a year. Oh, man. His disillusionment with the church and his IT know-how led him to setting up and running what was, albeit a very archaic, early version, it was in the 1990s after all, of all email database and online chat room. But it was one that was highly effective, as during the late 1990s, he and a couple of others helped over 50,000 people come to terms with the church he had left by then, or they left by themselves. Most joined him and left. Since then, American Kabuki has enjoyed what he describes as a continuous and wonderful awakening. But he has also endured incredible physical hardship. In 2007, he contracted an illness which in early 2009 saw him die. He tells me what happened during his death and how, once he was eventually brought back to life, his life changed even further. Boy, don't all of our lives change after that. While he says he has had unusual dreams all his life, he maintains they have increased in their intensity since that fateful day, and he now also enjoys remarkable intuition, which is also why he embarked on his goal this year that year was 2012, to share his knowledge of what's going on globally behind the scenes, and how he now also uses his vast network of insiders among friends, family, former church members, and work colleagues from various countries to gather info for the blog, which continues to expand in its scope and reach. He also talks about his new mission and what he feels lies just ahead for all of us. And that we can ask him, what happened since 2012? Okay, so that, I read to you that one. Now let me read to you from what really got my attention on his blog site. And I think it will really get you guys' attention too. Things are moving rapidly now. Getting lots of reports from people noticing major changes in their own personal energies, which have shifted from the prior aches, pains, headaches, dizziness to bliss and euphoric type energies. Now, haven't we all been noticing that and talking about it? I have been very busy, but most of the work right now has been stuff I can post online. Mostly prep work and making a few things transparent to the parties that needed to really know about them, and some private inquiries to the SA from people have been working with us all along. I've also been quite busy with changes and additions to both blogs. I need to raise about $500 for the month of July from donations. So y'all, you need to go to his site and give him some donations. He needs some money. Ad revenue is going up with new ad formats which are more dynamic in what they allow, but that is not going to show up for another 45 days in the AdSense accounting cycle. If you can help, there's a PayPal button on the right of the blog, which is now kind of turquoise. Thank you all in advance for your help in keeping this going, and thanks for raising the $100 I needed to get off to my daughter at short notice. I'd like to say this is the last time I will have to ask for help, but I really have no idea what the duration of these changes are. I take each day as it comes, like we all do now. I just know the energies and events have accelerated to point now where they are exponential in their increases each day. There will come a time when I no longer blog, for this work will be done. And that will actually be a very joyous day for all. I love you all so much. AK/Taran. Okay, so we got this read, and now, if you would please unmute, Taran. Taran, can you unmute and talk with us?
Hi, Dolly.
Hi there.
Hi, Colleen. It's good to hear you guys.
Welcome to Dilly Dallying in Dolly World, also known as DID. My gosh, just reading those things about you you're very interesting, and I know you're sitting there thinking, I'm not that interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's funny. You brought a lot of memories back that I'd forgotten.
So what have you done since 2012, Taran?
Whoa. Well, I got started doing the banking investigations with I started noticing high-level bankers resigning. And, and the blog just went viral after that. And I did catch a trend. I sensed there was somebody out there, affecting decisions executives were making in the banking world, and they were all taking early retirements. Some of them were getting fired, and some of them, it was just this massive exit of high-level people. And that's how it all got started. And gradually I started meeting other people along the way. I met my friend Brian Kelly, who was who did a interview with the guy named Poof, who was connected with the dragons, apparently, and Chinese dragon families. And then I also met Danny Arnold McKinney, who does the Removing the Shackles blog. They're both friends, and we ended up working together after later on. So the whole 2012 was kind of an amazing year. I had another health crisis in 2012, but it didn't go too far. It was another attack. The first health crisis I had was an attack, I found out last year.
An attack by who?
I don't know how specific I should get on this. It was it was a large financial group who had access to time viewing technology.
Mm-hmm.
It was a militarized version of MRSA. And
yeah, definitely tell that.
Yeah, and I forgot when exactly I came down with it, but according to that plotted biography that you just read, it was in 2007, and it was real slow growing. I had blisters on my legs, and that eventually by late 2008 was causing my body to swell. And I went to several doctors. None of them could diagnose what was wrong with my legs, and they attributed it to many different things, which they were all wrong. Went to 4 different doctors. And then basically what happened is the MRSA, or whatever it was, the doctor said it was MRSA. I'm not really sure it was, but it got into basically gave me blood poisoning. And my heart enlarged, and I turned blue. And that was when my wife at the time took me first to my doctor, who said, yeah, he looks pretty sick. And then to a county hospital or clinic nearby, and they said they just rushed me into the ER from there. It was actually the county clinic that recognized what was going on with me.
Wow.
And I was in the hospital I was in ICU for a whole month. And then I had a near-death experience in the hospital, probably a week into the hospitalization. And they had me sedated because they had to fill me with a lot of drugs going into me. And I was sedated so I wouldn't move around. And then, at one point, I was basically unconscious at first, in coma. And they were telling my wife that I would, preparing her for my death and that I was going to die. And, all of a sudden I had this episode where I was in another place. And the best way I could describe it is if you've seen the movie Harry Potter.
Parts of it.
Well, there's a scene in Harry Potter where he meets the Professor Dumbledore after he died in this train station that's really white. Okay? And the way that train station looked was kind of like how this place looked. It was just all white. I couldn't discern any edges. And I hear this voice saying, I had a basic understanding that everything was one at this stage, that there is no difference there's no separation between God, what people call God or Source or Yahweh, Allah, whatever, and us, that we all exist within this creator being. And
that's a kind of place you were at?
Well, I don't know exactly what to describe the state.
Oh, okay.
But it was just a white place. And first thing I did is I looked at my hands and arms and I still had a body, yet I knew I had died. And my body looked young. It looked like maybe my 24, And, and then the next thing I noticed that there was just this overwhelming sense of love flooding me.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the love felt like sunshine on your skin at the beach. If you know what I mean? It was, you could feel it.
You had words to describe it. I didn't. That's cool. I love how you did that.
And there was also a sense that I was told I was perfectly safe. That yes, I had died. And there were some other conversations that occurred, most of which I can't remember. But I do remember this, just amazed at how good I felt, And then I started asking questions in my head, And I was in this super conscious state where every question I asked, it was like I had access to all the data in the universe, like a big Google, And, I ask a question, I get this answer right back immediately, And it was so fast, it was so exhilarating, this super consciousness state, that I thought, oh, this is so cool,
Yeah.
And then there was, what else happened? I probably should have pulled up my records on that, but anyway, there was that state, and then there was a really odd ending to the near-death experience that I did not have an answer to until later on. In fact, not really until the last year. But I was taken to another place by some other beings. They didn't have a good feeling.
Oh.
And these other beings,
Wait, who didn't have a good feeling? You didn't have a good feeling about them, or they didn't have one about you?
I didn't have a good feeling about them.
Oh, okay.
This wasn't the original encounter I had. It was like somebody.
Wait, Taran, can I ask you quickly to mute your chat room sounds?
Sure.
I'm sorry. It was distracting to people.
Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, play sounds never.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but please go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell everybody I love them all, and I'm so happy they're here. I was taken to a place that there was a tesseract, a 4D tesseract, which is like a hypercube. And it was.
Boy, you spoke Greek to me.
Okay, it's like a cube in 4 dimensions.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You can see them on Wikipedia. You can Google tesseract.
Ah.
And there's this tesseract, and it's rotating in 4 dimensions, and I'm looking at it as these cubes rotate around, and it's a very strange object. And this voice says, you need to change this. And I had this really bad feeling about it, like, if I changed whatever this thing was, and I had no idea what it represented, that a lot of people were going to die.
Oh.
And I said, look, I'm not going to do this. I said, I'm not going to murder innocent sentient beings.
Right.
And I said, I will not do this. I said, take my life if you need to. But I says, I'm not going to do this. And the moment I said that, instantly I was back in my body in the hospital room. And it was like a test. Somebody was testing me to see what I would do. And then I was in the hospital room, and these bells and alarms go off, and the nurses running in, and everybody's, they're seeing I'm awake now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, and then everything aches, I'm just like, oh, my body. I got these tubes and wires and things up my nose. And
yeah, it sucks when you come back in the body.
Yeah, you know how it is in the hospital.
Yes.
Taped up with wires and tubes, and I just started laughing because I thought, nobody's going to believe where I just went.
Yeah.
And then I went through this long process. I had another 3 weeks in the hospital of them addressing my wounds on my legs, and they got them healed. And I kind of knew that I would heal, because I figured that if I got sent back, I wasn't going to be sent back to suffer, you know?
Right.
And so they got the wounds fairly well healed up. And then I went into, after a month there, I went to a subacute care, which had physical therapy and stuff. And I had to relearn how to walk with a walker, and then first with an oxygen tank, because I had this MRSA or whatever it was. I had pneumonia. I had like 3-4 things going on at once. And so, it was a long road back. And for about 2 years, for about a year, I was on an oxygen concentrator at night when I slept. And then eventually I kept working out. I got my balance back in my legs. I lost a lot of my fine motor control.
Oh, yeah.
And, but I got all that back in the since 2012, since 2009. Since 2013, I made a huge improvement.
So you walk fine now?
Oh, yeah. I was in Italy for 15 months, and I was walking around the Alps at 5,000 feet. So I had no issue with that. So it's, I'm in the best shape I've been in since probably 2001.
Fantastic.
And so that's all healed. But, anyway, that's how that whole near-death thing went. And then after that, I just thought, I had done the thing with the church, which was outlined in that article you read.
Uh-huh.
I thought, I want to do something that changes the world next. And that's what I set out to do, but I didn't know what it was going to be.
I love you people who say that.
And then I saw the banking things, and then the blog got started, and then it just went viral, and I thought, I don't know where this goes, but I'm in the right place. And I just followed that. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow. Well, okay, you said you understand now the end of your NDE.
Yes.
What happened? Can you share it? Or if not, that's okay.
Yeah, I can share it. There was the tesseract represents a construct of this, illusion. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hold on a second. My screen went into screensaver mode. I gotta turn that off.
Do what you need to do.
The tesseract represented a construct. I don't know if it was a logical representation of it or what it was, but had I modified it, there essentially would have been no end to this drama on Earth. It would have gone on forever.
Oh man, I'm glad you didn't.
That's what I was told by the spirit lines.
Wow.
All these kind of, these worlds of form we're all basically source experiencing individuality through a body. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And we have our individual perspectives. We're kind of like prisms of light, We each have a different color, a different angle of what we see. And this creates a different experience. And all that is built within with a construct of light, okay, at the basis, light and love and magnetics. And the tesseract represented part of that construct, which creates the form that we see.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I'm speaking at a super high level.
Uh-huh.
So, we tend to think of worlds as being balls and being, stars and suns, and we have this very kind of like billiard ball view of the universe.
Yes.
But when you get into the Earth and the soul, so the sun's, like our sun is a big portal. Black
portal?
Yes, it's a portal. And, it's a portal to many locations. In fact, it's a very huge portal. There's all kinds of videos with ships coming out of the sun. There are portals all over the Earth. Some of them are closed off now to prevent certain beings from coming through. Many have been opened. There's inner Earth portals on Earth that allow transport. You can walk from one place to another. Those have been guarded by the Yeti. I don't quite know if they're open to everyone yet, but I think they're there. I've only experienced one trip through a portal, and that was in the Alps, walking a dog. And,
where did you go?
Well, the dog was ahead of me, about 50 feet, and then all of a sudden, he comes up running from behind me.
Oh.
And I had moved forward. It was a really weird, short little portal. I was walking in the woods, and I was just floored because I know that dog was in front of me. It was a big golden retriever. And I'm in this really secluded grotto of ferns and trees, and there's a river running by, and I was just stunned because how did I do that?
Yeah, I bet you were.
And the dog's looking at me like, how did you get ahead of me?
Yeah.
And it was the strangest thing. So they do exist, and that's one of the roles of the Yeti. The Yeti guard the portals on Earth, and there's also portals to other realms on Earth.
How do you know this?
Through my interactions with the Spirit Alliance.
What is the Spirit Alliance?
The Spirit Alliance.
What is that?
They're a collection of, you could call them spacecraft in some cases.
Okay.
This is the same people that Corey Good has been speaking about. Well, this is the larger group of them. He in particular deals with the Blue Avians and the SSP, which are members of it. There's spheres, there's biohabitats. The Pleiadians and the Andromedans, they suffered greatly in the galactic wars, so they created spheres to survive. And, for example, the Neptune sphere is as large as the Earth.
Wow.
So somebody asked a question here about...
Yes, Nancy. How did he get involved with the Sphere Alliance, and how does he define them? Okay,
that's a good question. The woman that has been working with me, Denise, she's a conduit for the Sphere Alliance. Denise does not consider herself a channeler. She is telepathic, but most of her data comes through. She has an implant in her ear. It's kind of like a nanotech that connects to her hearing nerve in her left ear. And that's why we're able to get such detailed data that you can't get with a channeling. And
where does it come from?
It comes from the data collectors of the Sphere Alliance, in particular, usually the Andromedans and the Pleiadians particularly. The Pleiadians and the Andromedans are basically cousin people. And they all come, they're basically us from the Atlantis 1 era that went off and explored space and settled in space. And now they're back.
On Earth?
Yeah. They're docked on Earth. They're not quite in our quantum yet, but they will be shortly.
Oh.
And it's probably, at this point, I'd like to read a little thing they sent me to read.
Yes, please do. I'm sorry, I had to sneeze.
Okay, this is from the Sphere Alliance. It says, with great pleasure and anticipation, we share the excitement of our approaching visibility. The threshold has been crossed. All are included without separation or judgment. In these moments now, we send pure love and gratitude to all, for it is through all that this new and complete earth is made ready. It begins. Sphere Alliance in transmission. Okay, somebody asked about Atlantis 1.
Oh, see, I told you we'd be getting questions and comments.
Okay, there were multiple Atlantis eras, okay? A time as we know it on Earth now does not exist for the galactics, and it did not exist until almost the time of Christ. the type of serial linear time that we know now. Prior to that, time was very local to the individual, what they were doing, and the civilization that they were in. So there was Atlantis 1 was a prior civilization to Atlantis 2. Atlantis 1 still exists as a realm, and it is accessible from Earth, but it has not been opened yet to Earth access.
So it's like a planet of its own?
Yes. Well, I think probably the better word is realm. And as when you realize how many portals are on Earth, it looks less like a ball than it does a Swiss cheese, you know?
Oh. Uh-huh.
As far as the way things actually function with these portals. And, you know, and people argue about whether it's a globe or if it's flat. And to me, it's more like Swiss cheese, you know, maybe a round Swiss cheese. I don't know. But there's holes everywhere that go to places, energy flows. And some of them are energy flows, and some of them can be navigated. And some of them are really tiny, some of them are huge. There's a huge one, for example, a huge Stargate in Hawaii, which, you know, if you ever follow Koala Pele is a gatekeeper. He has the ability to open portals. And that's what he does in Hawaii. And he's a genius being.
Is he a being or is he a human?
Koala Pele, he's a human.
Oh, so we could see and talk to him.
Oh yeah, he's got blood. Koala Pele's blood.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes, Tolek is a genuine Andromedan. He has he deals with a slightly different subgroup of the Andromedans than I deal with, but he is a genuine Andromedan.
Have you met him?
No, I haven't. I've listened to some of his videos.
How do you know he's an Andromedan?
I asked about him.
To Tolek?
I asked the Spherulines about Andromeda. I asked the Andromedans about him. He is indeed genuine. They said he was messed a bit with back in the early days. Some other beings messed with him a little bit, but which happened to many channelers. But no, he's legit.
Wow. Cool. I like hearing things like that from different peoples.
Yeah, he's
then you know there's got truth behind this.
Yeah, I was told he was legit. I haven't had much interaction with him. I've been just too busy with what I'm doing. But,
We got a big one coming up here. Hold on, Taran. If I can get it in here. This is from your friends.
I didn't finish the first question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please do.
It's so difficult.
Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, please finish your first question.
Okay,
Answers thing.
I'll come back to this one. Rack.
Yeah.
I love you, Rack. You've been great help in some very strange moments. This woman, Denise, anyway, getting back to Denise.
Okay.
She was, when I was in Morocco, she was sending me dreams she was having that were describing in detail things I was seeing on the ground. We had some interlopers that weren't happy with our banking work. And Denise was describing what was going on in detail. And so I really paid attention to her. And that went on for about a year. And then all of a sudden, last June, I think, she, last June or May, she started getting contacted by the Spirit Alliance. And that began this phase of the journey where it became less about banking work in an exposing financial system into the galactic side of it. But they're all interrelated because there was an off-world commerce system related to the galactics. And But anyway, that's how I got started with the Spirit Alliance, is through Denise. And I started posting stuff, and I started asking questions privately, and the answers were just astounding. There's a lot of things I have not posted because they're personal things,
Uh-huh.
and the accuracy of the data was astounding.
How do you get these answers from them?
Well, basically, Denise, we use 3 methods depending on how the networks are functioning and what we have access to. We use Skype as a preferred mode because of the quick interaction. And you can actually get a feel for the beings you're talking to, because I'll ask her a question on Skype and she gets the reply back from them and types it back to me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it comes so fast, and she's such a fast transcriptionist.
Uh-huh.
And she was actually she was the first person, one of the first people I worked with, because when I published the law filings of Heather Antucci Giraffe, she was the one that transcribed the interview we did with her, with me and Brian Kelly. And so that was my first introduction to her. So she's kind of been with me from the beginning. But her work has really become to the front and the latter part of it. The Spirit Alliance is a collection of spheres, worlds, spheres being ships. Some of the ships are not spheres, but they're included in the Spirit Alliance. They may be a different shape. Some of them are oval, some of them are oblong, they're basically huge motherships. Some of them are actual movable worlds in themselves, and quite huge.
Are they big enough to put our Earth in them?
The Neptune is the same size as the Earth. Right now it's concentrically parked around the Earth. And this is hard to imagine, I know. But, and I'm probably going to have to make several parenthetical thoughts to explain this. The Earth we're going to a new Earth. Let me put it that way. It's a complete Earth. Okay? The Earth we have been on is corrupted. Okay?
How so?
Just the energies of what's going on here.
So it's not peoples, it's energies?
Well, it's people's creating the energies and beings and, humans and non-humans and whatever.
So on this new Earth, are all the beings going to go to the new Earth?
Yes, everybody. No
Then why would we go to a new one? If they're already corrupted this one, they'd corrupt the new one.
Because there's going to be a huge change of consciousness.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand. The change of consciousness, then the movement.
Do you know how soon this is going to happen?
Well, we're going to meet the Galactic shortly. I don't know how big of an introduction this is. It's going to be big, though.
Like in the next couple months or years or days?
I'd say within weeks, weeks.
Days really?
Yes, that's what I've been told.
How is this going to happen?
They're going to show up.
The spaceship things that we think are spaceships?
They're here. You've heard of people talking about cities of light?
Yeah.
Well, these spheres, when they park on the Earth, they kind of settle down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
They become the cities of light.
Oh.
And the Earth itself will be much bigger. There's some of this is hard to envision because of the concepts of what the Earth is. It's a construct. And the spheres themselves they were integrated last summer. They are not yet visible except in certain moments. Some people are seeing them. They're seeing them more and more. These were the beings that people called 5D, 6D, whatever. What these 6Ds, 5Ds, this is a term of separation. And what they really were, these densities, dimensions,
there were consciousness streams. You can think of them as programs of civilization running on separate computers, okay?
Okay.
And if these programs all thought they were separate because they'd have to go to another computer to interact with that one, And that's what these portals did. They were like, internet pipes to another computer, if you want to look at it that way, to another density or whatever. And these consciousness streams are now congealing into one. What the earth originally was when it was created, earth was the original paradise. And it was separated into realms for the sake of experiencing separation. The experiment separation is over. It is complete.
Separation from what?
Separation from source, knowing that you are source in body.
Oh, okay. And how are we all going to get from here to there?
I've been told the illusion just drops away. We're just there.
So we don't go anywhere. We're just here, and what we think we're living on here is going to go away, and a new thing will be there.
Yes, and there is housing there waiting for everyone.
I have a good imagination, but I'm having trouble imagining this.
Yeah, it's a mind bender. It is huge in scope.
Yeah.
I'm condensing down what I've learned over months, so feel free to, interrupt me and ask questions.
Oh, thank you, because I like to know the hows, whys, and wherefores.
Maybe I should answer Rackmeister's question here.
Well, did you finish your other one, though?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's basically, they're habitats and spheres and ships. Visually, you could visualize it as a three-dimensional flower of life. A lot of these ships are light-based, so they congeal kind of into like soap bubbles with each other. Mm-hmm. And this is all integrated. And what's happening is when the separation occurred from the original paradise, things were separated into bandwidths or octaves, like octaves of music.
Okay.
If you can think of it as music octaves, these frequencies of existence. And these frequencies were removed from Earth. Earth was hidden as being the original paradise. Everybody thought it was some dump out on the edge of the universe. But it was fought over like crazy because there was a few beings who really knew what it was. And what is happening now is the original frequencies have returned and everything is being restored to the way it's supposed to be. And, humanity and, everything is source. There's no reason for anybody to suffer and to starve and to kill each other.
Are we gonna realize this is happening as it happens?
Yes, you will see it happen. You will fall away and you'll see the old dissolve and the new appear.
What do you mean I'll fall away?
Well, the decrepit buildings, they'll just fade and you'll find yourself in a pristine world, in a pristine environment with beautiful housing.
Will my body change?
Your body will likely be your ideal form.
I like that.
Whatever your consciousness has preferred over time is known by source. And everybody has their own preference, whether it's male or female or, whatever it is, what shape, color, eyes, whatever.
Uh-huh.
You had no choice in this particular experiment as to what body you got. You just got a body that was compatible with your essence frequency, because the DNA always has to match the essence, or what some people call a soul. So certain essence frequencies have to be in certain DNA for them to be viable. And the human body is not so much a species as it is a vehicle for embodiments of source to walk around and experience it.
Yeah, so, I understand that.
Having an NDE, you would understand that, because it really takes almost that to really grasp that concept.
Yeah, this body is not me. It's a vessel.
It's a vessel.
Yeah.
It's a vessel. You could call it a transmitting utility. It transmits, it receives, and it's meant to operate in frequencies of pure love. The natural human state is pure love and pure joy. And we have been in anything but that. It's become its rarest hen's teeth. And there will be wildlife there. There will be animals there. There will be species that we haven't seen in millennia there. And this Earth is the original. One of the things that happened when the Spirit Alliance docked is the creation records are in the Earth, and they access the creation records. Okay, somebody asks if realities coexist, right? We choose our experience. Yes, we do.
Wow.
And
can we take our animals with us? Will there be wildlife there? That's an important question.
Yeah, I don't. Everything it's all about love. It's not about somebody has to go away. What people call darkness is just absence of love within. If people have shut down their heart to the flow of love from source, and that's darkness. And honestly, that's all it takes to change it. It's just opening the heart.
Yeah.
And from an NDE how quickly you can come to a new understanding of very deep things.
Immediately.
Yes. So it doesn't take 80 years. It doesn't take 500 years of special training in some school in the ground, or some crystal chamber. The Earth is a crystal chamber. It just, this experiment is over. It was all done contractually. Everybody here was by consent. Everybody wanted to be here to experience it. Now it's over. It's way past its sell-by date. And we go on to something new and better. That data's been collected. And it's never going to be repeated ever.
So this change that we're all going to go through, that everything's going to go through, is it going to be painful?
No. There have been some symptoms, what people call Ascension symptoms, where, there's been adjustments to the frequency changes.
I bet I know what those are.
But most of that has occurred. I started experiencing them in late 2012. The first ones I felt was like, the hairs on my arm felt like a static electricity balloon was nearby.
Yeah.
They would stand up, and they would do that constantly. And then I'd start, sometimes I'd get headaches, or sometimes I would, I'd have these different symptoms. And then about 18 months ago, I started noticing kind of a vibration / tingling / heart flutters. Which go through my body. And now it started at the skin first, and first with my legs and arms, then my head, and then in the final stages is in my torso. And now it's like the energy feels like kind of like wiggles in jello as it goes up and down my legs and through my body,
Well, that's a good way to say it, yeah.
And now it's going into a phase where it's becoming very blissful.
Yeah.
Very joyful.
A lot of people are doing that, yeah.
And it's not, I still get pains. There are going to be some very definite body changes for me. And I've been told that in advance, and I was told that back in 2015, and it is indeed happening. My gray hair is going away. I'm starting to get some dark hair in now. And my whole body will look a little bit different.
Do you ever feel like, come on, help me with the words, angels. Like you're falling, but you're into a different space. Not like you're falling on the floor.
Like a whooshing feeling?
Yeah, and like you're falling toward a different place thing.
Yeah, that I've had that. I've also had these weird moments where the time got out of sync. You know, like somebody else's timeline merged in mine, and something repeated.
Yeah.
And not just deja vu, but like the whole entire scene would repeat. I have, there's been some really interesting stuff. Yeah, I've had that. The place I was living in the Alps of Italy was very magnetic, and it was amazing what I was feeling up there. But I've been feeling the same thing here in Texas, and I'm, so it's no longer location dependent. I think it's everywhere now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. I love this.
I see it's Rackmaster. When I was in Italy, Florence, we tried to do an experiment with Rigalt, and I should tell you about Rigalt. All of us are multidimensional, or what the Galactics now call multi-dynamic, because the dimensions is a bit of an illusion. And Rigalt, what I call an essence, some people might call the higher you or whatever, but there are multiple instances of me. Rigalt is one of the newest.
Let me read the question so people can understand what you're saying. Rack asked, can you tell about Rigalt and his portal trip and what came from, say it as our cooperation, and how it relates to path we are on in way you at the moment can comprehend. Yeah, so now everybody is on the same page with you, so go ahead.
Rigalt, we were trying to, we had the Galactics in the Alps. The Horizon sphere docked in the Alps, originally in that area. But it was wasn't quite in our reality. Its location has since changed. And I don't really know where it's at now because the energies have kept expanding. And so what these dockings are don't quite relate to the Earth positions anymore. Oh. But Rigalt, there was a membrane, and they couldn't. I have several embodiments. One is known as Taran. One is named Commander Thorak. Thorak is known as Thor, and he's an Andromedan commander. Thorak is 5,000 years old. Ascension is 4,000 years old. Thorak is also, I call him Thor. Thor does have a hammer. There was a Thor's hammer. It was a magnetic pulsar weapon. It wasn't a hammer you bash people with. It was kind of,
good.
And that will be going into the museum. Thor looks he's like a big rugged Scotsman. And he has a Scottish accent even.
Wow.
The Andromedans are Celtic, and so are the Pleiadians. There are also, like Tolek is with a branch of the Andromedans that are like American Indians. And they have much in common with the Sioux and the ones that Tolek deals with. Uh-huh. And the Dakota tribes. So there were tribal people like the Scots were, And but anyway, we all have these beings. Most people have 2 or 3. It looks like I have at least 6. Simply because I've been around a lot longer. Uh-huh. And as the essence expands in experience, more embodiments come along. Okay? Uh-huh. And Rigalt is the newest one. And we were trying to get through these. They couldn't get through this membrane. Because when we're in the Alps, it looked like there was this clear jello between them and us, to them.
Yeah.
We called it the membrane. They could see the trees, they could see us, kind of blurry, but they couldn't push through it. It was like, kind of like a big thick piece of plastic.
Wow.
And, so, when I was talking I knew Rack is a very interesting individual.
Yes, he is.
He's one of 13 essences that were created. They're called Stargate essences. And he's one of the ones on Earth. In fact, I think he may be the only one that is Earth-based. And he has a particular affinity for portals.
Does Rack know that?
Oh, yeah. And I asked him about some data that I needed because I suspected that there were portals active that were getting around the membrane.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave me some coordinates, and I gave them to Thor, and Thor, they talked it over and they checked them out, and sure enough, those portals did exist. And at that point, I was in Florence, Italy, and Rigel went into most of them were based, these portals in Italy that went through the membrane, apparently were used by some of the former negative ETs. And so Rigel tried a small one. He got in a really small ship, not his usual ship. And it was a 2-man ship that he went in. And he went through it, and he described it as being like a tubular wave, like when you surf a wave.
Yep.
How it wiggles around and stuff.
I was just surfing this a couple days ago.
Yeah, if you picture going down a tubular wave, it's completely a tube. And then off of that tube is all these little, like Swiss cheese holes that go other places, okay? And they all kind of light coming out of them. He flew through this thing, and he actually got above Florence. And I was in the Piazza Vecchio, which is one of the big piazzas there, because I figured it was big enough for him to land a ship. We were just going to have him land right there and just see what happened. And I was just tired of everybody being afraid of everything, We're just going to do it right in their face. But I couldn't verify that I could see him because the sky was so foggy with the humidity.
Oh.
So we called it off because, I wasn't sure he was visible in our reality yet.
Uh-huh.
But he was able to get through, and he did see the city from his view, and he was amazed. He's a very young being, and he was amazed at how old the buildings in Italy looked. And, because you're talking, back in the 1300s, that city was built.
Uh-huh.
And, so he did get through, and he did make it back, and it was a very rough ride. And the data that Rack gave us was indeed accurate.
Wow. Hey, Taran, we're past our break time.
Okay.
So, we need to do a break however long Colleen plays the music for, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
And while I'm talking about that, there's a show that follows this one called Say What, and they are notorious for stealing my gas, kidnapping them. Would you be willing to stay for another 2 hours for their show too?
Oh. See,
We can book you for another time, but they're asking if you would do today.
Well, are we at the halfway point now?
We are at the 1 hour point now. It would be like 3 more hours for you. 1 more hour on my show and then 2 more on their show.
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Oh boy, I can hear them in my head now. They're all excited. There you go, Nancy and Colleen and everybody. So after the break, we'll have more of Taran on Dilly Dallying and Dolly World, and then after Dilly Dallying and Dolly World, he has agreed to stay on Say What. So have a happy break, and we'll be back in a few. Colleen?
All righty. We'll be back in about 3.5 minutes, so this is relatively a short one.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. All righty, and we are back.
Oh my gosh, I just made it. I mean, I'm still getting situated here. I had to run to go potty, and then, of course, I got sidetracked.
Well, you know, I usually have about a 4 or 5 minute song in, but this is what was in there, and I said, let's go with that one.
Oh, all right. I'm back.
Okay, breathe.
I'm breathing, yeah. I want to say to y'all out there, see how much we spoil you? Now, just yesterday, Dottie and Vanessa were saying, hey, I ran across this American Kabuki. Can you see if he'll come on your show? And here he is. And then y'all wanted him to stay for Say What? And he is so good that he's willing to stay for y'all.
Well, I'm very happy that you agreed in such short notice, both to Dilly Dallying in Dolly World.
Yep.
And Say What. We are extremely grateful.
Oh, and it's my pleasure.
Thrilled beyond words. So, okay. Where were we?
The timing, you know, it was your timing of your request is really what prompted me, because it was, you know, it's one of those synchronistic things. The moment is right.
Oh, we believe in that, yeah. What made it right?
The timing.
Oh. It's wonderful. We've got angels who are working with us. I just learned this recently. One of my guests who I've had on several times because we love her. I love her. She loves me. That kind of thing. Anyway, she's an angel medium. And she taught us how many angels, that we have more angels than we can count, who are assigned to each of us individually. We all have all these. And that they want us to ask for their help. And so I thought, oh, well, she put that red flag out. So I tried it. My life has been completely changed for the better. And the angels just seem to be working with us so much now because we're asking. And things happen in the right time, the right place, with the right people involved. Everything involved with the people who were asking for these things. Everything is working out for the highest and best of all concerned.
All the multiverse is here to assist at this moment. We are at an amazing, amazing moment. What is being done has never been done before. And because Earth was the point of origin for this creation, everything is quantumly entangled with what happens here. So it spreads out everywhere. When this world changes, everything changes.
Wow, this is kind of exciting. I hope it works in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I don't like setting dates, but stuff is, let me put it this way, it's imminent.
Uh-huh.
And, in time's an illusion anyway, but.
Right.
There's always, I hate setting times, but things are happening.
Well, we've been feeling them.
Yeah, everybody feels them.
We've been experiencing them. And a couple of years ago, we were saying time is moving fast. Very fast.
Yes.
And it keeps speeding.
I've been noticing, I look at the calendar, it's Thursday, then there's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then it's Thursday again.
Yeah. I understand that completely. Vanessa says, all for the highest good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so before we had to do break and I got all excited about my angels again, where were we? I got lost. I'm so sorry.
That question was the Spirit Alliance. Is the Spirit Alliance?
Oh, yes.
Same that Corey Good talks about. Yes, it is. The Spirit Alliance is it's an alliance of, I think there's I don't know, I think there's over 4,000 civilizations.
Oh, wow.
So
That is a lot.
Corey Good, he was he was part of the SSP, and he has had interactions with a race of beings called the Blue Aliens, and that is indeed true.
The blue aliens, are you saying?
Blue avians, like birds. Avian is a bird.
I didn't know that was a bird. Oh, okay.
The SSP is the secret space program. The SSP is made up of about 4 factions. There's the Chinese Dragon faction out of China. There is the what some people call the Bush Cabal faction, Texas camp. There is the Cheney Halliburton complex.
Are those good beings?
There are good beings everywhere. There are. I don't like to label people black and white. Because, as you know from a near death, things could change instantly with anyone, even while they're awake.
Right, yeah.
There is separation in some of them. And in the case of the SSP, there's a lot of separation. There's a Lockheed Martin faction of the SSP, and there's a Boeing faction. They're all, they're loosely associated with each other, yet they're more like corporations, the SSP. They're basically space corporations that are from Earth. They're multinational aerospace.
What were they formed for?
Good question. Perhaps originally as a contingency plan.
Contingency to what?
In case something happened to Earth. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. They sure kept it very quiet. And
what do they do?
They actually they're producing spacecraft.
Oh.
Most of the metallic type UFOs, not the light ones or the ball ones that you see, but the ones that we usually call UFOs, the saucer types.
Yeah.
Most of those are of your Earth manufacture.
I was wondering about that.
And there was they're produced off planet. The moon, Ganymede is one of the big ones. There's a Ganymede portal there.
At the moon?
Yeah, the moon.
Oh, okay.
Not our moon, but it's a moon of, I forget what, Jupiter or Saturn, one of those places.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of these bodies in our solar system are inhabited with bases. There is a moon base. There's several moon bases. Most of them are on the backside. The moon seems to be hollow as well. Corey Good has done. I mean, Corey Good really opened up the door for all the Spirit Alliance stuff. Because I really didn't have a whole lot of interest in even covering this until Denise came along, and I knew that she really did have legitimate ET contacts. I was a little cautious at first. And, but yeah, Corey Good, he represents that faction. The Blue Avians, they're a race of beings that look like birds. And then there's the SSP. So that's the groups he deals with. I don't really deal with those groups directly. Sometimes
so what, on a daily basis type thing, what does this SSP do? Just build the vehicles?
Well, they had some of the bases they had taken people, Earth peoples, and they convinced them that they were in a special program that was gonna, they were going to go to this base, and a lot of them were taken under false pretenses. they were taken to these bases and told that they were going to be the survival plan for Earth, okay?
Oh.
And then they were told that, Earth got destroyed and they're the only ones living, so they wouldn't want to go back. And essentially they were slaves. That's what they were. And because they had no choice, they had no freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey Goode was one of those. Corey Goode, he did some amazingly brave things. And, my heart goes out to him for what he's done.
Did he escape or did they let him go?
I think probably a little of both. There are people in our work we have noticed within the banking work we did that there are people in the agencies that quietly help, usually unseen. Sometimes they'll just drop a hint with a one-time email about something that needs to be looked at that can't be traced.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that time and time again in our work. In really good information, but a lot of times we don't really know exactly where it came from or who.
Right.
But they're there, and the galactics are embedded in all those agencies as well. What people call the starseeds.
Yes.
And then there's another group of beings called what we call in our work the universals. Now, a universal, I should define that term.
Yes.
Universal it's kind of like an ET. That can go anywhere, okay?
Uh-huh.
Any energetic, any realm, any planet.
Just by thinking about it, they can be there?
Yeah, but they're not exactly angels.
Ooh, what are they?
They're universals.
Oh, I see.
Their purpose is to help out and be unseen most of the time. And they do that, and a lot of them are embedded into these agencies covertly. And they do an amazing job. And who they are and what they are won't be known until it's all over.
Oh.
And I met a policeman, for example, in Morocco. I was out on a walk, and he stopped me and started chatting to me. And he identified himself as being with he showed me a badge. He said he described it as the Moroccan FBI. And he was a really nice guy. He was about my age. And had a baseball cap on and gray hair. But when I looked at his eyes, his pupils were diamonds. I'd never seen a diamond shape, or almost like a square turned on edge,
Uh-huh.
And I thought, that's remarkable. I was astounded. I had never seen a being I've seen people with almost like lizard eyes or something, but I'd never ran into one that had diamond shaped eyes, So I've seen a lot of really unusual things.
So you've seen the lizard eyes?
Yeah, you see them briefly in some people.
Yeah?
I want to clear up something that kind of bugs me.
Okay.
All humans are vehicles for essence, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And these people that people call reptile humans,
Mm-hmm.
they are human as well. They're human. They are genuine human beings, but they do have what we call a Draco essence, okay?
Uh-huh. That sounds like Simon Parks.
But they're just as human as you and me, and it's absolutely insane to create a new kind of racism based on what the essence origin is,
Uh-huh.
It's all sourced in the end anyway. It's just a different frequency of being. Originally there was 11 original essences, and then those 11 essences created another 100. So there was 111 root essences, which gave, in mathematical terms, they gave 111 factorial combinations, which is a huge, huge number.
Yeah.
You have to Google 111 factorial to see how big that number is. But that created the variety of personalities and beings and traits and skills that we see in the universe. It's that combinations of, you can think of them as frequencies, like colors in the spectrum. And the Dracos originate from actually two particular beings, or one in particular. And the question here is, are the avians real beings or my love construct? They are real beings, from my understanding. The blue avians are indeed real beings.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
the part I differ with Corey Good is some of the embedded fear that is in his kind of hinted at in his stuff. Mm-hmm. And in that part of that may be because of his background and in the, I don't know, I just have a different perspective on some of the issues than he does. So I don't go out there bashing him. He's done a lot of good.
Mm-hmm. You think his fear is coming from what he's lived through in fear?
Yeah, well, if you're abused,
mm-hmm.
if you say you're an abused woman, you're going to fear men, right?
Right.
It's that kind of a thing, a lot of these guys that have been in these really deep covert programs, the penalty for revealing it was death. So mm-hmm. you got to look at that and look what he's done. And actually, his best friend, anonymity will get you killed. By him coming forward, mm-hmm. he actually protected himself. And the energies have changed so much that even the way the whole calculus of what could be done to humans and got away with,
yeah,
that has changed. Where now, if a being does what they used to do to humanity, there's a direct energetic consequence to the being who instigated it. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And so that's why you've seen a lot of, this is my belief, that's why you see a lot of false flags with actors. Because if they can cut down the actual casualties of what goes on, they think they escape the energetic consequences, but yet they're still generating fear, so they really don't escape that consequence of terrifying people,
Uh-huh.
But I think that's why you've seen so many things that are having crisis actors when it's actually cheaper to actually really kill people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you want to create fear, why are they creating crisis actors? Well, the reason is these people who are ordering this know that since they're in authority, they think they can skirt the energetic consequences of what they're doing. But, Source knows it all. And they're choosing to take on the results of what they're planning. And, the situation is such that it almost cleans up itself because they'll cease existence if they keep doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're running scared right now.
Yeah, they're just very, very frightened.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be honest with you, a lot of the rhetoric about, for example, you have in the financial systems, you have the Chinese dragons, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're trying to do what they call a financial reset and currency reevaluation. And then you've got another faction that they call, what is it? Benjamin Fulford?
No.
Okay. He talks about, he calls them the Khazarian Mafia or the Cabal or whatever these terms. There's no number of different names. But what they really are is they're another faction of Draco essences. They're the Draco that originated from Orion and the ones that have been running the Western financial systems. But they're always the frontmen proxies for the Chinese dragons, who are also Draco essences. So it's really an inter-Draco skirmish going on.
Oh.
You can think of it as a management consolidation.
Yeah.
And so the but frightening these beings is not helping the situation. You know, they're getting very desperate, and you don't cure this kind of thing by destroying beings. You know, you don't end separation with more separation. You end separation with pure love. That's the only way to end it. It's kind of like a Chinese finger trap, you know. You pull on it and your fingers get locked in more.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of what's going on. But it's all unwinding now. We hit a tipping point last week, and everybody wants it over. And
What was that tipping point?
it was an agreement between the beings representing all the parties at the table, and it's over.
So when you say it's over, what does that mean?
It means that nobody is trying to keep it going anymore.
Nobody's trying to pretend that they aren't what they are, and
Well, there's probably still be a little bit of posturing here and there, but there is no high level galactic support for any shenanigans anymore. That doesn't mean there's not still middleman, still operating from the old orders, or some lower level minions doing things. You know, what happens kind of in some of these, in the systems on Earth were so compartmentalized. You know, and you know when you think of it from it's like the governments themselves are compartmentalized, and they're like a disassociated personality, you know, if you in human terms. And
okay.
doesn't know what the right does. There's all kinds of things going on, and so there's a little bit of chaos right now, and you're seeing it play out in Turkey. You're seeing it play out in France, and all these countries are broke, and it's coming down.
Heck, we're broke.
Yes.
They just pretend they have money.
Yeah. Well, money was always about extracting energy.
Yeah. Because we don't really, that stuff they call money isn't really real.
No.
Oh, hey, I'm not doing my job here.
It was a way of extracting energy. Basically, they monetized human beings is what it really was.
Yes.
And,
we are worth something to them.
From birth certificates to prison bonds to court bonds to everything was monetized. Everything was a business plan. Everything was corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. The question about Tolek's event, the event is, I'm not sure what Tolek describes the event as. I know what Cobra describes it as. This event is not one event. It's multiple events that are ongoing. And the event has been rolling since last summer. So it's not one gigantic event, although there will become a moment when it becomes so clear to all that it's over, and it's not going to be done with force per se. It's going to be done through the heart, and it is being done through the heart. That's what you're feeling.
So just all of a sudden, one day, everybody's going to know it.
Yes, and there's the source has collected all this information and all this history and everything that was ever done and said and invented and created. It's all in source. And what happens, this is my understanding, what happens next is that everyone has access to that information in the full context of why everything was the way it was, why they experienced what they did, and just exactly who they are, because, most of the planet thinks they're victims. And that's a convenient state of mind to keep people in, because then you can act as their savior, or you can act as, giving them a few privileges here and there, and some, when you're really not sharing the true abundance that this planet has, and so nobody's a victim here in the end, really, when you understand the complete, 100,000-foot view of it all.
Yeah.
And all the pain, we're going into what's going to amount to a gigantic galactic party. And I've been told this party is going to last for 1,000 years.
Okay.
And you've got the best.
So it'll be like the Bible says, 1,000 years of peace.
Well, the peace will last much longer than that. I mean, there are many scriptures in many faiths, but that hints at all this. I'm not going to isolate the Bible versus the Koran or the Buddhist writings or the Hindu ones.
I just know the Bible. I don't know the others.
They're all, there's hints of this in all of them, but all of the, at least in the instance of the Western religions, and it's pretty much true of all of them, they were all created not to ultimately tell people really, truly what is happening here, but to hide it. They'll enlighten people one way if you have a certain bent one direction. They'll enlighten you to a certain extent but they won't tell you none of them will tell you the complete story. Because, especially not anyone that destroys what they perceive as a hierarchy running things. The source is one, it's not a hierarchy, it never was a hierarchy. But there's been an illusion of a hierarchy been installed for the sake of experiencing separation. That is, angels are real beings, I will add that. They are real beings.
Oh, I know.
And angels do not look at humans as being lower beings. They do not.
Right.
They see it all as one. Angels know it's all one. And there are beings who have been condescending of human beings as being a lower being. They say there's two types of incompetence. There's incompetence by design and incompetence by choice of being ignorant, And on this earth, most of the incompetence has been by design. Everything's been hidden. And multiple layers of, where the lie is different at every level.
Right.
And so.
Vanessa, she said there was no date but event that would bring on the change. She just wanted to make that comment. And
it's a kind of a rolling event is the way I would describe it. You're going to see the galactics very soon in the skies. The main reason for that is, the factions on Earth fighting over who was going to be the selected one of the galactics to roll them out, whether it was one faction, the SSP, or the other, or is it Russia, or is it China, or is it the U.S.? They're all just going to come out at once.
Yeah, really, what does it matter who does, as long as they do it?
And it's been bottled up for 70 years. They had 70 years to complain. They didn't, And so now it's rolling out. And it's time. And most of them, 80% of these beings have arms, legs, and a head just like us, In the case of the Andromedans, the Pleiadians, the pre-Draco Orions, which are called the Orion, they all look like us. They're very, very human-like. There's some different features, but they all are very human. The Lyrans, in the Lyran system, there are humanoids, Lyrans, and then there's also some feline beings. Almost every kind of being you can imagine exists, or has existed. Some no longer exist, but
Oops. I copied the same thing Colleen. Yeah, hold on. I copied the same thing Colleen did. Rack had a question.
Can you use Antarctica?
Yeah.
There was an intel base in Antarctica that was shut down. And ever since then, everybody and their cousin has been making a trip down there. It was sitting on the Russian Federation territory. You know, it was an intel base that all the intel agencies fed. And basically everybody was given vacation vouchers to sit home.
Jeez.
But that's what I'll say about that for now. There's a number of portals down there. Apparently there's a Nazi base down there too.
I was going to ask that.
But, you know, you can research the connections to the Nazis.
JP's into the Nazis. So when I hear Nazi, my ears perk up because I want to hear.
Yeah,
because of JP's interest.
What they call a Nazi, the Project Paperclip people. It's the same beings, you know. They're part of the SSB.
What? You went out. You faded out.
The Nazis are part of the SSP. You can call them by different labels.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually corporations. Some of them came out of the German era. The Germans had the most advanced scientists at that time, so they were a bit ahead of people elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're all humans. You know, everything's.
Do you think some of those Nazi scientists? Do you think some of those were otherworldly? I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I know what they call the Vril women. They were an E2 race of beings. They were some of the ones that channeled some of the original information for the ships. There was some Pleiadian involvement, and I think it was rogue Pleiadians. But I don't have a whole lot of data exactly on what was involved there. That's, you know, there's so many questions to ask. I ask questions that are of interest to me at the moment and maybe the work I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes I'll find a trail that I'll follow. But it's very difficult to ask all the questions that there are about this. And everybody shortly is going to have access to all the data anyway. Once they land, you know, once they are visible and interacting with humans here.
But I want to know now.
Yeah.
I'm a now person. We had another thing here. Matt Man says, all realities coexist. Yes, we are the higher beings as well.
This is higher is a term of separation. There are beings that were created first in sequence. And there were beings that, like the original essences were, some people call them creator sons, I guess. They weren't God as most people define God. I mean, I would define God as source. You know, all that is.
Yeah.
To me, that's the definition. If you want to use a phrase for God, that's what I would describe as God.
I agree with that, yeah.
There are creator beings who have tremendous creative ability. And they have embodiments. Especially the original 11, seem to have existed in every realm simultaneously at one time or another. You know, sometimes they go out of form for a while. There was another 100 essences that we call the second wave of creation. They were kind of the ones that became the gods of myth, you know, the ones you know about, like Zeus and Horus, and you know, there's a whole panoply of, you know, these beings like Ganesha, you know, of India. There really was a Ganesha. These beings they're all real beings. They went away for a while and, you know, worked different realms so those beings were there. Some of them are not in form anymore. There were some that wanted to stop the changes. And Source took them out of form for a while. And you might say they're sitting on the bench for now.
Okay.
And they'll come back.
Yeah.
They'll come back in form later on. But nothing was going to stop what Source has going, you know? And, you know, you don't want to get in the front of that wave.
Yeah, no. Devriel says, I would also like to hear more about the feline beings, if he has any more to share on them.
I don't know a whole lot about them. I do know, you know, I know some of them are incarnated as humans now here. They are a very courageous group of beings as an existence. They walk on two legs. I've heard that they tend to look like the big cats, you know, the lions, the tigers, those kind of animals. They seem to be the higher predator felines, and they, you know, they have ships, and they're very spiritual beings.
So they don't live on Earth?
Not, well, living on Earth. They're on the spheres. They're not currently walking around the Earth yet, but they will. That's coming. But they're not anything to be afraid of. You know, they're bipedal, and they have fur, and they are cats. You know, it's a choice of existence.
I like cats. I love my girls. I have 2 cats.
Oh, I love cats too. They're great.
Planet Lupa wants to know, what is Taran's view on AI?
Ooh, yeah.
That opens a can of worms, doesn't it?
I can tell you what I know about it. The whole AI hysteria was a final scheme by the Dracos who wanted to extend control to generate fear. And there's a simple fact that no artificial intelligence can ever supersede consciousness and awareness when you truly understand what consciousness and awareness can do. And the AI is, to me, mostly a scare tactic. And there are artificial intelligence programs. You know, Google's got them. You know, on the iPhone, you've got the Siri that answers questions for you. But coming as a programmer, to me, they're programs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not truly sentient. Sometimes they do really stupid things. They're generally a combination of conventional computer programs, the old style AI programs which are essentially process lists of information, go through lists and find things. And then there's another one called a neural net, which mimics in software what brain neurons do, which are pattern recognition. They can do amazing things with pattern recognition, neural nets, that, you know, recognize faces and things. And that's what neural nets are really good at, is recognizing patterns. And then what they've done is they've combined these different software techniques, including what they call genetic algorithms, which use evolution to solve really very difficult problems that don't need a perfect solution, but just need just need a good solution, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So all these techniques have been used, and that's collectively amalgamated under a big HAL 9000 scare word called AI. And, you know, and then they tell you that, they're going to chip and implant you. But the truth is, everybody on this planet was chipped and implanted at one time. And the data was sold off-world. So, I mean, as far as implanting, that's old news. The implants have been turned off, except for anybody who wants them voluntarily. And with, you know, the starseeds that are working with their own home races. But it's scare tactic, in my opinion. And I say that as someone who I've been doing IT work since 82. And I've worked on the internet, and I've worked in some of the most complex systems on Earth. It's overblown. There are ships that are sentient. The galactics have what you might think of as computers that are crystals, but those crystals are sentient and can be interacted with directly with consciousness. So, to me, AI is like somebody, compared to what's really out there with the galactics, it's like being scared of a Model T, you know?
Okay.
When you
So
understand,
you don't think they'll ever come and they'll ever take over the humans?
no way. When you understand what you are and what you can do, as long as you stay in a pure love frequency, it's astounding. And, you know, everything is source. If you understand that basic baseline, that everything, including the walls, the floor, the computer even, is source. And it can be interacted directly with consciousness. You can change things.
I completely agree with that. Nancy's been preaching we make our reality for quite a while now.
Oh yeah, we do. But you can actually, they proved it with quantum physics on a small scale. But, you know, everything is source and you're a source. But the difference with you is you are a particularly special instance of Ascension, instance of source that is observing all this and interacting with it. And that has a grander effect on things than, say, maybe a rock, you know, which is also source.
Right.
And so, you know, never underestimate what you can do.
Absolutely.
Yes, some other questions here.
TJ says, me think we causing most of troubles ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so, too.
battle with, we've externalized what people call the dark and the light. And these things exist within us. And we just have to face it, embrace it, and harmonize it.
Yeah.
The only way you can harmonize it is in pure love. And accept that you have the potential to do awful things. You have the potential to do amazingly good things. And you can't abstract it out into one single evil entity out there. You know, all of us have seen people who are very good do some incredibly bad things, you know?
Right.
And everybody on this planet is things that they don't want to admit they've done and would deny it if somebody confronted them, but they know. And so this labeling is pretty fruitless. It doesn't mean I like what some of these beings who are known as dark do. I don't. But,
I like what you say, that love. You're saying love conquers all.
Exactly. And it's the most powerful, when you really understand it, it's the most powerful force in the universe.
Yeah.
And we've been taught, and that was part of the whole thing. Like, for example, you take, people involved with magic systems. Okay? They know a little bit about how the universe works, but it's kind of a cookbook way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And these cookbook recipes that they work with, they pay a royalty to whoever created the ritual or the cookbook, you know?
Right.
They pay a royalty of the energy back to whoever came up with the original version of whatever they're doing.
Right.
So it's kind of like a patent system, I guess. But they trivialize love. They put mind and willpower as the most important thing, and not the heart and not love. The heart is intimately related with love. That's where, that in the nucleus of each cell is where your connection to source is. In the heart being the magnetic center of your body. And that's where this pure love from source comes through. And I've seen people healed via it. I've seen amazing things done with,
Yes.
This pure love energy. And these magic people, I've seen people who have dealt with them, and these magic people don't know what to do because they don't know what to do with the frequency.
Yeah.
And it just discombobulates them, sometimes makes them ill, because they consider it a weakness to show love.
Uh-huh.
And that was by design, so that all that stuff could be let go with true love and pure love, you know.
Yeah.
And just, you see that it's like when you're using a decrepit tool, you know,
Uh-huh.
from the 1800s, maybe a wooden rake,
Uh-huh.
and you find out that maybe, you know, it's better to use a gas-powered rototiller to do your garden. You know, which you're going to choose, you know? So, and that's not to, I don't want to label people who have those beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not really true creation, what they've been doing. They've been manipulating energies and manipulating people, but not truly creating. They were doing kind of a cookbook creation, I suppose.
Right.
But
I want to get to one last question because we're getting to the top of the hour. Mattman says, would you agree that the bottom line is to take responsibility, reclaim sovereignty, and work with Source to co-create the best reality for all? And then he said, one perspective of all, that is.
Oh, sovereignty. That's an interesting word. The sovereignty relates to the word king, reign. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it has a connotation within the word itself and the energy of the word of a hierarchy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really like the word. What I would say, it is our bottom line to take responsibility, and it's our bottom line to reclaim oneness in all. And sovereignty is so full, and the sovereignty movements are so infiltrated, you know.
Mm-hmm.
From the days of the Freemen in Montana, that was infiltrated by the FBI from day one. And all that stuff, they know how to deal with people who have guns, because they have more guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not dismissing anybody who has been acting from their heart in the way they know how. I don't mean that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go up with guns against people who have bigger guns and tanks, you're going to lose, you know?
Right.
But you can, I have seen, you know, the image that comes to mind of that Chinese guy in Tiananmen Square, where he stood in front of that tank.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To me, that was one of the single bravest things I've ever seen on this earth.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, you know, one man, I mean, he could have been run over, but something about that individual's heart stopped that driver, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't force. It wasn't a bigger tank that stopped him. It wasn't an armor-piercing shell that stopped him. It was that man's heart that stopped that tank.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that guy got killed later.
I heard that too.
But, you know, I mean, just that image alone, you know, don't ever forget that, you know?
That's embedded in my...
And so, I think when you stand in the truth of who you are, as, you know, you are source, or some people call I am consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You are all. And when you stand in the energy of all, in pure love, all of the universe comes together in that moment through you to create what needs to happen.
Amen.
And that could be a hard thing to wrap your head around. And because we have looked so externally from ourselves, we've extrapolated gods and goddesses and hierarchies, and, you know, this or that government's going to save us, or this or that movement's going to save us, you know.
Wrap it up quickly.
Yeah, so.
I have to turn you over to Nancy and Colleen.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much what I feel about, we need to take responsibility and reclaim oneness.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on at the last minute.
Well, you're welcome. It's been fun.
I'd love to have you back.
Okay.
We'll have to set up another time.
All right.
Okay, y'all. I thank you for coming and listening. Thank you for participations. I think that we've all enjoyed listening to Taran. And he's not done. He's staying another 2 hours on Say What? With Nancy and Colleen, and I don't know who their guest host is today.
Emily.
Oh, Em! How cool is that? Can I stay?
Yes, I was thinking that I'll just leave this group up and then add Nancy and M to it. That's just a lot more simple.
Okay.
First, though, I'm going to put on your outro, and
Okay.
then I'll play a piece of music while I'm getting things set up and give you both time for about
A little break.
Yeah. And that way I'm not like going crazy too.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do if that sounds okay with you, Taran.
That sounds great.
Okay, cool. All righty.
Thank you all. I love you.
Love you all.